Shavua Tov, Parshat Bechukotai. How does Israel remain in the land of Israel? This week's Parsha contains the blessings of dwelling in the land and prospering in her, and the curses of exile from the land. What are the things that we need to do to get those blessings and to avoid those curses? I'll give you the short answer at the beginning, and then we'll see how it comes out of the Parsha. The first short answer is order, seder, structure. That is one element. The second element is labor, work, creating, doing, building. Those are the two things. An ordered work and building ethic is what will create the blessings. Now let's see where it comes out from the Parsha. The first thing that should jump out at us is that the Parsha seems to be very unfavorably skewed. The blessings is a short section, relatively, and the curses is much longer, and the curses in Parshat Ki Tavo are even longer than that. So that seems to be against what we normally assume, that God's attribute of mercy and his attribute of kindness is more prevalent, if that's the case. So the blessings should be much longer, and the curses should be much shorter. But it is the opposite. How come? Why is that so? Question number 2, the very first phrase, Im Bechukotai telechu, if you walk in my statutes. Now, when I read that, it means to me, if you follow the commandments, you walk in my statutes, you do your life according to the Torah. But Rashi says something else. He's bringing a midrash that says, Chetiyu amelim baTorah, that you should be toiling in Torah study. Where does that verse of walking in God's statutes imply sitting in the Beit Midrash and breaking one's head over understanding a Tosafot on the Gemara? How does that Torah study come out of this particular verse? We will explain that as we go. But before that, we'll get to even a more fundamental question, and that is, this Parsha clearly states that there is reward and punishment in this world. However, the rabbis tell us otherwise. They say, Schar b'hai alma leka, that reward in this world is not. The reward for the mitzvot and the punishment for the transgressions is in Olam Haba, not in Olam Hazeh, not in this world. So how come this Parsha seems to imply otherwise? Well, we could say on that there's a difference between an individual and the community. That on an individual level, reward is certainly in the world to come, but on a communal level, there are consequences in this world. But actually, the most satisfying explanation is the word I just used, consequences. This Parsha may not be describing reward as in payment for what one has done, but rather the natural consequences of one's actions. If one acts in a certain way, then certain results will ensue. And if they act in a different way, so then different results will ensue. It's simply cause and effect. With that as an understanding, let's take a look at the cause and effect. Let's go to our first question. How come the blessings are so short, but the curses are so long? It seems to be the opposite of what I would expect, and it's certainly not a very encouraging kind of message. One could also say that, well, psychology being what it is, fear is a greater motivator than love. Possibly. But I think there is something else here. It is the idea of order and structure, as we mentioned. The kids have a bedroom. In the bedroom, they have toys. If the toys are strewn all over the floor so that you can't even see the floor, well, then you say, wow, there's so many toys in here, I think we're going to have to get rid of a few of them. But then, an hour later, after the kids have cleaned up because you threatened to get rid of some of the toys, then the room all of a sudden is full of space, and those toys that seem to be so many seem to be not so many now because they're all in their proper location. And so that is the idea of order, of seder. Because when everything is ordered and structured in its place, it is neat, it is compact, it is clear. And that is the blessings. Because the blessings require us to be living an ordered life. That is the first requirement of Judaism, to have structure. We have a book of Jewish law. It's called the Shulchan Aruch, the set table, showing us the idea of order and structure. There's a story about some rabbis who left Eretz Yisrael, and they encountered people plowing in the wrong season, planting in the wrong season, harvesting in the wrong season, bundling the crops in the wrong season. And they were very sad, they were very upset, and they said, we can't be here, we have to go back to Eretz Yisrael. They went back to Eretz Yisrael, and there they saw people planting in the right season, harvesting in the right season, bundling in the right season, doing all of the things in the right season. Because Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, requires order more than anything else, more than any other land in the world. It requires structure, seder. And therefore, if you have the order and structure, the blessings, while they may be briefer, because they encompass everything. But once you unleash the forces of chaos, and our enemies certainly wish to unleash the forces of chaos, and when we ourselves are not ordered and not following the Torah, which is the order of the world, then chaos ensues, and chaos can expand and expand and expand, and that's why the blessings seem to be so random, coming from every which way, and so tragically expansive. So therefore, order is the first order of business, and the Jewish life is a life of order and of structure. Now, let's take that another level. What is the first rule of order? What is this seder, this order, this structure that we are supposed to have, besides just the simple aspect of the Torah and the mitzvot, which is this order of the world, but there's beyond that. That's the framework. What is the essence of order and structure? It is working. It is doing. The Chofetz Chaim explains the question we had earlier. It says, "Im Bechukotai telechu," if you walk in my statutes, and Rashi takes it to a place we're kind of surprised that he goes to, that you should be toiling in Torah. What does that mean? Where do I see Torah study in that verse? Says the Chofetz Chaim, no, it's not referring to Torah study. It's referring to how you live your life, that living your life should be done in a Torah framework. And he gives an example from a prayer that we say at the end of a tractate. When one learns a tractate of the Talmud, they recite a special prayer called the Hadran. And in there is the surprising statement that says the following: we labor and they labor. We being the Torah scholars, and they being the people who are not in the Beit Midrash. They're out doing whatever else. We labor and get paid, and they labor and do not get paid. Which one asks, what do you mean they labor and do not get paid? Non-Jewish or non-religious or secular activity is always compensated, isn't it? People pay for the services and the products that they get. So what do you mean they don't get paid? And we do get paid? What does that mean? What is this all about? Says the Chofetz Chaim. Very simple. In the secular world, in the day-to-day life, the person gets paid for the product. If they didn't deliver the product, they don't get paid. My grandfather was a tailor. If he would have an order for a dress, and he'd work the whole day on the dress, and it wouldn't work out. Of course it would have, because he was a great tailor. But let's say, for argument's sake, it didn't work out, and he can't come to the client and then say, well, pay me anyway because I worked very hard for 10 hours. But there's no dress. You don't get paid. You don't get, as they say, as the old joke goes, no ticket, no shirt, right? You don't get paid. But let's say a student in the Beis Midrash is struggling over that Tosafot, and he's struggling over it the whole day, and at the end of the day, he doesn't understand it. Try as he did. You might say he gets no reward in heaven for that Torah study. The answer is no, he gets reward. Because in Torah study, it's not the result that we are rewarded for, it's the effort, it's the work. Work, doing, building, that is part of life. And it is not something that we do just to achieve a goal, but rather the essence of life itself is doing that work as a fulfillment of Torah. We talked in previous weeks about the ends not justifying the means. Judaism views the means as the ends, that the actual doing is what is holy. And this we see from the commandment of the Sabbath. The Sabbath is given on the seventh day, not on the first day. Why? On the seventh day we have to work first in order to earn the Sabbath. And the Torah says, 6 days you shall work. That may be a positive commandment. You have to work for 6 days. And on the seventh day, you rest to show that all of the work that you did during the week was work done in holiness, work done in Torah. And one of the things that we learn from the work in the week is the labors that are forbidden on the Sabbath. What are the labors that are forbidden on the Sabbath? Everything that was necessary to construct the sanctuary, the Mishkan. So therefore, those labors, 39 types of labors, were done in building the sanctuary. On the Sabbath, where we're not allowed to build the sanctuary, those are the 39 types of labor that are forbidden on the Sabbath. So there's another side to that coin. That means that during the 6 days of the week, we have to be building a sanctuary. Not literally, but spiritually, that we are walking and going Bechukotai. And that's what it means, says the Chofetz Chaim, to be toiling in Torah. toiling at your daily job, whether you're an accountant or whether you are a janitor, whatever it might be, when you do that work, b'Torah, as if it is done in the framework of Torah, in order for the spiritual goal of building and developing a healthy life in Eretz Yisrael. And the sign that you do it in holiness is the fact that you rest on the Sabbath day, and on the national level, the fact that we rest in the sabbatical year. That is what it means to toil in Torah, that everything, our daily work, can have the status of a Torah experience because we do it for the right reasons. The rabbis say that a certain type of an individual is invalid as a witness. A mesachek bekubia. What's that? A gambler, a professional gambler. He bets on the races all day long. This is how he makes his living. Why is he not allowed to be a witness? There's a machloket among the sages as to why. One reason is because there's an element of theft there, that the person who loses the bet really didn't mean to lose the bet. They thought they were going to win, and therefore they weren't properly parting with their money. But then we have another explanation, which is the normative one, and that is that this gambler is not involved in settling the world and building the world. In other words, they're living off of random chance and good luck. And that's not considered a healthy lifestyle. That is chaos. And chaos is, in a sense, a blessing for us because our enemies have it. And the Torah has a little hidden comfort in the curses. It says there that I will destroy the land, says God, and it will be destroyed for the enemies who dwell upon it. Why will it be destroyed for the enemies that dwell upon it? Because Eretz Yisrael requires order and structure. And the enemies who fight us are people of chaos and randomness and lack of any self-control and restraint. And because of that, the land will never blossom and bloom for them because they are not nations of order. They are nations of chaos. But the Jewish nation is a nation of order. And therefore, because of our order and structure, the land of Israel itself responds to us, blooms, blossoms, and becomes beautiful. So that is how we will remain in our land, being a nation of order, of structure, of planting, of reaping, of building, of growing. Shavua Tov.